Welcome to Immigrate. Welcome to a space where you can be vulnerable, a space where you're not going to be judged, a space where you can be authentic. And my hope and desire is to inspire and motivate everyone that click onto this podcast. So welcome to another episode of Immigrate.
Welcome to another great episode of Immigrate. I'm so excited for my guest today. Welcome, Dr. Robb Kelly. Welcome to Immigrate Podcast.
Thank you, Tasha. Great to be here. Hey, guys. Good to see you. So my name is Dr. Robb Kelly, guys. I'm from Manchester, England. I am a psych doctor. I deal with addiction, childhood trauma, depression, alcoholism, PTSD, and we're doing some early research work now on Alzheimer's and dementia. I do a lot of TV. I do thousands of podcasts. I have books out there, all the stuff that I dreamt of doing when I was homeless. We have 5 offices around the world, which is Dallas. We have San Antonio, where I am, Dallas. We have Manchester, England, London, England, Switzerland, and Spain is where we all are. And my daughter, who I lost for 30 years, she wasn't in my life, is now my lead therapist in my Manchester, UK office.
Wonderful. Congrats. That must be an amazing feeling to reconnect with her.
Yeah.
So we're going to dive into, can you tell people your profession? Because when we start talking about these topics, we want people to understand the context.
Beautiful. Yeah. So I'm a neuroscience expert and a clinical psychologist. I also have a second PhD in behavioral science. Anything to do with feelings, rejection, psych change, what we found out is all down to the brain's reaction to a certain thing. So when people go, oh, I'm just so upset, I feel torn about things, I'm in conflict, that's the anterior cingulate cortex. There's a reason for that. So instead of thinking, well, I should pull myself together, no, there's a reason, part of the brain, why you feel like this. It's natural under the circumstances that you're going through.
That's right. And in my previous episode, I've talked about how the brain keeps memory. The brain does store memory. So tell us what happened what happened in our brain when we feel rejected.
There's a couple of things that make us go insane: rejection, abandonment, and identity taken away from the brain. Doesn't act very well, or suddenly starts to rewire against self-sabotage. Pain. You might feel like pain in the head or the heart. We have to remember there's no pain receptors in the brain, first of all, but it feels that way. There's a covering on the brain called the DORA, D-O-R-A, rejection. We've got to look at the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, okay? It triggers a chemical which, even though it's rejection, it's like a distress hormone. So you're like, something really bad's happening, activate fight or flight kind of thing, just because we've been rejected. And that's where all this craziness comes from, and the pain, especially you feel, in the heart or the brain. It's really painful. And people, I'll just get over it. Again, when the cortisol levels, change, like elevated, which is rejection brings, then the response again is our fight or flight. And that can be painful in itself. And of course, you've got the abandonment that attaches to that. So a lot of things going on in the brain, again, which is natural. So if you don't take care of that, then it will repeat behavior with what's called the basal ganglia, which is our repetition, strength, and confirms part of the brain.
Right. Awesome. So why does rejection feels like physical pain? Because you just touched on that. So why does it feel like such a physical pain in our body?
Well, that anterior cingulate cortex we talked about as kind of the same reaction. So it's like a psychosensitivity that we have from the cortex, and it activates even social reactions or rejections cause the pain because it mimics actual pain. This is where it gets really interesting. So it mimics actual pain, so it feels like actual pain, even though it's not. So you've not been physically hurt, but there's certain chemicals in the brain and parts of other, like the stomach, where the dopamine and serotonin are created, not in the brain. It affects that as well. So the feeling of unwanted, because we're social beings. We're supposed to mix with other people, but we don't. The exclusion triggers what feels like a personal physical injury.
Right. I know you mentioned, but can you go more in depth which side of the brain that's most affected?
Yeah, so the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex and the anterior cingulate cortex. So what happens with stress? So there's the anterior, there's the hippocampus, the ventromedial, and the amygdala, and maybe the insular parts of the brain. I know I'm obliging you science guys at home, please bear with me. They all react the same way as if we're getting physically hurt. Okay, so we cannot when we're in that situation, the brain will not work out whether it's physical or mental. And this is how we first got into looking at mental illness, is the brain cause wasn't associated at the beginning with pain felt as in someone kicks you in the shin or something. But it is exactly the same. The same chemicals are released. And again, well, sometimes the medial prefrontal cortex looks at the social side as well. So it's like abandonment on steroids. So
Wow.
all them parts of the brain are reacting as if we're getting hurt, we're getting beat up, we're in this horrible place, the loneliness, abandonment, all that stuff at once is happening, and it just feels terrible. So the pain is real because the chemicals are being released. The pain is real.
So can repeat rejection change the brain?
Oh, 100%. 100. What a great question, Asha. That's what I like about your questions and not like other podcasts, which is the reason why Courtney came after you, is that you're changing the world. You're a very smart woman. See,
Oh,
we
thank
turn down
you.
15 podcasts a week. We don't do that because of know who I am, but we go after people that are smart and are changing the world. And that's why what a great
Thank you so
question.
much. Thank you
No,
so
of
much.
course.
I
So
appreciate that.
the more something happens to us, whether that be good or bad, but especially bad, there's a place in the brain that's called the basal ganglia. Okay. So again, the negative mood changes is an increasing stress levels that we talk about and the release of the chemicals. But the basal ganglia is our repetition. So if you can imagine a clock face, okay, so we keep repeating a pattern on anything, either good or bad. So if we keep putting ourselves in a position where we're being rejected on a basis, the basal ganglia will pick that repetition behavior up. And then what happens over a period of time is it becomes a working part of the brain. So once it becomes a
Mm,
working part of the brain, it's like a knee-jerk reaction. It's like the doctor tapping you on the knee. You can't stop that reaction. It's the same with the brain. It's repeated again, and you're back in that situation. Now, here's the
right.
crazy part, guys. Our brain turns and our mind over matter, the mind really runs everything. We attract the same energy in another person that we're going through. Often, depression will match up with someone else who's depressed when they're dating or finding a partner.
Right.
Alcoholics often find alcoholics. So that the mirroring part of the brain, and the mind, the energy, we attract them kind of partners or them people around us that end up always shaming us, or the fundamental human social connection is broken, and it goes on and on and on until something crazy, crazy happens.
Wow. So it is crazy how interested the brain works. So you're saying it's literally be careful of the company that you seek. So not because you're an alcoholic doesn't mean you have to stick, but you just naturally go towards those things because the brain.
Yeah. We attract what we think we are worth. And I'm going to repeat that,
Ooh,
guys, at home, because it's a
ooh, that's what I
right,
was just gonna say.
right. Yeah, it's something I come up with years ago. We attract what we think. That's the word. Think we are worth. So if we're going through all this turmoil in our brain, we'll attract them kind of people. That's not true. That's not right. That's not normal. But we do. So we attract the job that we think. We attract the partner that we think we are worth. And the bottom line is you are worth so much more than you think you are. You will never, guys, know how attractive you are. You will never know how smart you are. And this is physical stuff, especially standing in the mirror, putting makeup on, or guys are shaving. You see all your blemishes. That's not how people see you. Step away 6 feet from the mirror, all the blemishes disappear and you look quite good. That's how people see you. So if we can think of that every time we get up in the morning getting dressed, it's not. When's the last time I went into the office? Hey, Jimmy, we don't do that. They're 6 feet away. That's how people greet us. So the confidence that one builds during this time period of trying to get your identity back, because most people lose their identity in friends, in partners, in jobs, it becomes our identity. So we lose that and the rejection happens. We feel all of that at once. And it's about changing your identity. See, you can't upset me without me putting my side of the story onto it, me believing you. If I don't believe you, then it doesn't affect me. So my perspective
Yes.
on what you say, I don't care what anybody says about me. I mean, I'm up in the media, people know who I am, and you always get the one or two jealous guys. You see, the thing is, Tasha, is everybody's jealous of what I have, but nobody's jealous how I got here. And that's
Mercy.
the human reaction. Like nobody's interested. There's homelessness, the loss of kids. I died twice on the streets of Manchester. All that bad. Nobody cares about that. They just always want to comment on the car, the house, the watches. Look at you, look at you. I'm
Right.
like, yeah, look at me. I've gone through hell to be here. Hell. And it wasn't for the
Right.
grace of God, I would be dead years ago.
So do you think this rejection impact, and I'm sure it does, how does it impact stress and mood?
It will increases again the chemicals, which brings on anxiety, loneliness, and shame and all that great stuff. But yeah, again, going back to it, threatens the fundamental human need for social connection. So the
Right.
chemicals around now, the cortisol and stuff like that, take it back to fight or flight. So we're hurt. So we cannot communicate with the like-minded people unless we change our mind. They call it neuroplasticity today, which is really changing your mind. If we can change
Right.
our mind of who we are and the people that we mix with and our standard and of life, and we'll attract them people and never or very rarely be put in that situation again. You see, most people from childhood have never been validated or approved on
Uh,
stuff that happened to them. So
uh-huh.
back in my day, my priest molested me. So I went back on and saw my mom. Do you know what she did? She took a wooden shoe out and she smacked me so many times on the backside, and she put
Uh-huh.
me in bed without any supper at night time. That was the
Wow.
reaction to it. So I was never, until about 5 years ago, and that was, God, 50 years ago, I was never validated for that action. That, yeah, Rob, that really happened to you. And we have
Mm,
to look at that childhood trauma, and we need to uncover, discover, discard of that thing that happened to you before you can move on in life. And that
mm,
incident affected me for many years in my adult life with intimacy. Now, you won't think for a second like normal people would have forgotten about that. Everything that happens, everything we see, feel, touch, hear is stored in the subconscious brain. So this subconscious
mm,
brain, this is the conscious brain, the subconscious brain. Everything is stored in there. Okay. And this guy wakes us up because of the lack of oxygen in the body. This guy
right.
wakes us up. So in the prefrontal cortex shouts, which job is to come up with a solution. Okay. So a decision, yes or no, whatever it is. Okay. There it is. Screams at the brain or the conscious brain and subconscious brain. Give me an answer. Give me an answer. Give me an answer. When most people living in trauma and fear and childhood trauma, the answer always comes from the subconscious brain, which is not the right answer and is bad.
Right.
So the idea is, with what we do in the morning routine, is to get rid of this guy and introduce the conscious brain. The conscious brain loves oxygen. Okay.
Right.
So the presence of oxygen equals the lack of disease. Every disease in the human
Mm,
body starts in a hypoxic place in the body. So we need to get our oxygen in 3, 4, 5, 6 times at home. 20 times in the morning kills the subconscious, ignites the conscious. And then we're on a different level. Then you get to be like me and millions of other people I've worked with is you don't give a shit what people think. You wear stupid colors. I got pink shoes on right now and blue trousers with what? That's insane. I don't care. I'm going to live my best life because I ain't got a long
right.
time on this earth. So
Yeah.
I don't care what you
Yeah.
think, man. I don't care.
And it does practice, it gives you so much more confidence too, because when you really don't care what people think, do you
Then
think
people,
that practicing faith and mindfulness helps with the brain to heal? Do you think that helps heal the brain?
it's if you're going through any kind of depression, any kind of anxiety, PTSD, all that stuff, in my opinion, now this isn't science facts like I've been speaking, we tried and tested everything that we do. We don't rely on other people. It's vital. So I didn't know what vital meant. I thought it was important. Then I looked it up some years ago. It means necessary to life. Check these vital signs. It's vital that you have a faith. It's vital that you have some kind of spiritual connection with whatever you believe. If you believe it's Uncle Jimmy, the universe, God, Buddha, whatever it is, you have to have that conscious contact with God. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. Not to the depth that we've been through. And normal people. You see, to normal people, we put a mask on when we're depressed. So to normal people, looks like this. Hey, Tasha, it's a great day today. That's depressed. That could be a depressed person, but we don't know that until you start digging down. So for me, I had a huge spiritual awakening on the streets, which put me to where I am today. Like huge spiritual awakening, with a guy that taught me how to perform and how to do what I do today that we'd never traced. It's huge. So
Right.
you need it. And it changes the brain. It changes physiology of the human being. It changes most cells in the human body. But most of all, and this is important with repeated behavior, with a faith, 300 neural pathways die every day in the brain. There are billions. What
Wow.
are we replacing them 300 with? Is that new behavior? Is that believing in God? Is that knowing quite well that if you're going through any kind of distress, like no money, looking after the kids, you think you'll never cope. When you're as old as me and have worked on neuroscience as much as me, you realize that God is preparing you. You see, my homelessness and loss of children and all that stuff, it was like a semester at Harvard University because the
Right.
stuff that he taught me on the streets, not the
Mm-hmm.
universities, this doesn't do nothing for me, but that the semester at Harvard on the streets I learned brings me to today where I help those people. Yeah, but you don't understand, Dr. Rob. You've never check. Yeah, but you check. You see, he's took me through all of this to be here today. So you're never going to come to me and go, yeah, but you don't understand. You've never been homeless. Check. You've never been stabbed. Check. You've never been died. Check. Check. Never lost your kid. Check. They're all checked off. And God's got in a place now to be of maximum service to other people. And that's what we do today. Everybody, listen carefully, guys, everybody in the world, unless you have severe brain damage, can be anybody you want and you can do anything you want to do. Period. And if anybody says anything different, says who? You can't write a book, Rob. I mean, says who? Because I don't
Mm-hmm.
like your take on my life. Because I can do anything. And when I
Right.
came to America, Tasha, people would
Yeah.
always say to me, I used to go, you can do anything you want. And
Right.
people used to say, well, I can't be president of the United States. Well, let's forget political views for a second. I'm not into
Right.
politics. I don't care who's running it. We had a business and run the country for 4 years with no political experience whatsoever. But don't dare tell me you can't achieve your dreams. Somebody's put that there. It's not true. Not true.
Do you mind sharing a time when you felt so deeply rejected and how do you bounce back after that rejection? And then simply encourage someone how these steps helped you bounce back.
Rejection comes in many forms for me. But I remember after losing everything, because I was still in denial with my drinking. And I was ended up on the streets the first night on the streets. It was cold, it was raining. I was in a bus shelter in the middle of Manchester, UK. And the rejection and the pain and the realization I'm on my own here. I'm really on my own. So I went through that for 14 months on the streets of that pain every single day. The realization that nobody's there. Like when you call family and they put the phone down straight away on you, when you go
Yeah.
to the door and they call the police, when all
Right.
your friends walk away from you, the rejection from all that is heartbreaking. And I
Right.
really mean heartbreaking. And it causes all kinds of pain from that. But again, God put me through that so I could
Mm.
talk to people. Because rejection, we use that word, it got rejected or something like that. It's just a flippant word that we use. But it has so much power and devastation in the human body and brain. It's unreal. So we
Right.
really need to look at all these chemicals being released and why and how. And 9 out of 10 times, rejection hits us. Rejection doesn't come in slow waves. Okay. You never, oh,
Mm.
I'm thinking a bit distant. I'm a little bit, reject. It hits you straight in the chest when
Yeah.
it's in motion. So you never feel rejected while people are pulling away from you. With me, it was alcoholism, people pulling away from you little bit by little bit. I didn't notice. But the big punch in the chest for me is the realization on that first night there's nobody's there. I'm
Right.
abandoned.
We're wrapping up, and I just wanted you to just encourage because sometimes with the word rejection, as you said, people kind of use it. It doesn't come as a wave, it's true. It comes unexpected. It comes with our deepest own wounds. Because I always say this, the way we are offended is because deep down there's something internal that we need to work on. That's why we get offended or rejected. And that's how the brain, as you're saying, replace that. So how can we then help us to bounce back after these rejection as in our final thoughts here?
Well, for me, it was a spiritual awakening that I found out I got my identity back. Once you find your identity, you find out how really powerful you are. So jobs and partners and parents and caregivers have always been putting you down and no one's validated anything. So you become this person that's depressed, rejected from society, and you can bounce back, but you need a spiritual life to bounce back, in my opinion. This is my opinion. And he will heal everything that you're going through, mixed with like-minded people. If you want to get a job as a counselor at an old people's home, you have to hang around the people who are counseling. You can't hang around people that are unemployed with no ambition. You have to step away from them, and you have to. Your friends now are all going to be counselors. Oh, well, how am I going to get that? There's billions of Facebook pages that you can get on. You see, if you keep hanging around the people, the depressed people that you've been hanging around with, you're going to become one of those. It's the mirroring part of the brain. Now, I always say to people, I can go back to Manchester, England, and I can help the people. I just can't live there anymore. Can't live there. I have to live in the present. I have to live in the now. Once you stop living in the present, there's no such thing as rejection. There's no such thing. And there's work to be done. Don't get me wrong. But if you don't live in tomorrow, there's no anxiety. And if you stop living in the past, there's no depression. So a typical example for me, I have no idea what I'm doing tomorrow. My assistant, and I know people don't have assistants, but my assistant sends me my day tomorrow. She sends it tonight at 6 o'clock. Here's what you're doing tomorrow. Because I'm not interested in what I'm doing tomorrow. Do you know how many people died yesterday that had plans for today?
Yes, true.
It's crazy. So you have to grip life. You have to, time. You don't have time. People think we have time. Mums, how many times you said this? 1 minute I'm waving them off to kindergarten. The next minute they say I'm waving them off to cut. Where's that time gone, man? We go through days as if we've got loads of them left. I'm 64, right? So if we look at the Bible, average death in America is 75. Tasha, I have 11 birthdays left. That's all I have, 11 birthdays. And when you put it in that perspective, you get to live life like I do today. And it's amazing. I don't have bad days, Tasha. I have better days than others. Don't get me wrong. How can I have a bad day, man? I've got dry bed. I woke up in a dry bed this morning. I didn't wake up on a bench where someone's peed on me and, thrown soiled diapers at me because I couldn't walk because I'm so wasted. No, I got a dry bed. I got 2 English bulldogs. My wife makes me tea in the morning with toast. How the hell can I have a bad day? I can't. So it's your perspective on life. Find your identity, guys. Who is Jimmy? Who's Jimmy Jones? If that's it. Who is it? Who am I today? Am I a guy that lives for work? You can't have, by the way, everybody at work, stop saying this, guys, please. Oh, we're a family. The boss will say this. We're all a family. No, we walk around the same piece of carpet for 8 hours. You are not family. My family is either real family or people around you, if you have no family, that validate you, that improve you every single day, that hold you accountable, that love you no matter what happens and will grow with you. I found out this. I'll finish on this. Nobody will ever negatively comment on anything that you do that's doing as good as you or better. Nobody will ever do. Only the people that are not doing as good as you, the jealous guys, will comment on everything. And we know them comments on Facebook. The keyboard warrior sat in his mom's bedroom is 64. No, you've got to look, okay? You've got to look who's around you and use them people. Again, everyone's jealous about what we have, but no one's jealous how we got there. And so show me your friends and I will show you your future.
There's a saying where I'm from, is show me a friend and I'll tell you who you are. Thank you so much for just sharing. You're a breath of fresh air. Even my birds are agreeing with me. Is there anything else you want to say that we didn't touch on and you think it's important that we talked about?
If you're in a place that Tasha and I spoke about, so if you're in a place where suicide is a real option for you, because you've been rejected and torn and beaten down. If you're in that place, here is what I'm going to do. 4600-0210 is my personal cell phone number. I want you to text me on that number. Tell me your name and what you're going through. I will text you back immediately. Then I'll arrange a phone call between me and you. Guys, I'll give you a 15-minute pep talk that will change your life. And the reason I do that, and people think I'm crazy putting my cell phone number out there, is I would rather spend 15 minutes with you than hear of your suicide next week. Girl, that's what I'm talking about.
You're amazing.
Thank
Where can people find you?
So if you're listening and not watching, if you're watching, you realize I spell my name with 2 B's, ROBBKELLY.com, or Dr. Robb Kelly in any search engine. Come find us, come like us, everything you want to do. If you're ever in San Antonio, come visit the offices. And also I have a restaurant next door that I own called the Old English Tea Shop. We'll have a spot of tea, fish and chips waiting for you. So yeah, get in contact, guys. It'd be great to hear from you.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on and spending your time with us. We really appreciate it. And yeah, we will connect soon.
Thank you so much, Tasha.
That's it for today's conversation. If you enjoy this episode, Be sure to rate and review Immigrate podcast wherever you listen. Your support helps us to continue sharing voices and stories that matter. I'm your host, Tasha Gay Olson, reminding you that your roots are your strength. Your journey has a purpose. See you next time.